Welcome to the Learning Reimagined podcast, where we discuss solutions to employee training and development challenges in the Caribbean. We speak with Caribbean professionals who are experts at helping people in Caribbean organizations excel. And we want to help you, our Caribbean audience, level up your teams, your employees, so that your businesses can succeed. Tamara Dunbar is the Training and Development Manager at the ATL Automotive Group. She has over 5 years of experience developing and executing individual learning experiences for employees. She specializes in soft skills, leadership and people management, and systems training. She is also a certified project manager with over 3 years of project experience. Hi, Tamara. It's so great to have you here.
Hi, Christy. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm so excited to be having this conversation with you. And we're basically talking about hybrid employee training, right? And a lot of teams are moving towards this whole hybrid space, especially with the remote work environment. And I know that there are a lot of questions about how to make it work effectively. So that's what we're going to be focusing on throughout this episode. All right. So first of all, can you tell us why hybrid employee training is important?
Simply for engagement.
Okay.
You want to get to your employees or your team members where they are. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that may be a mobile space. Mm-hmm. And you need to be, so for instance, you have a distributed team. It's going to be difficult to pull everybody from their operational spaces and get them all into one space. Mm-hmm. But maybe like a manager can pull a location together and you have blended learning happening. Mm-hmm. You are online with a couple of students in a room and you're able to deliver the material to everybody because they're able to be together,
right,
apart, so to speak.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anything else you'd want to add to that? It sounded like you wanted to.
Yeah. So time is also an important factor because you have to prep. Mm-hmm. And what we have is, instead of having a 2-hour session, for instance, you can make it shorter and more impactful within that 1 hour with more prep time on your side as a trainer. But you're also delivering things faster and more efficiently to the team members. And on top of that, in a blended environment, those people who don't want to speak, but they can use the chat app, are able to use that and then get questions across that you can always deliver on later.
That makes sense. All right. So one of the downfalls often cited about online training specifically is that it doesn't facilitate meaningful social interaction. So you mentioned the chat a while ago, but sometimes people feel like that's still very disconnected. So how can this challenge of getting people to engage socially through online training be addressed? How can we address that challenge?
So funny enough, like I said, we have distributed sites, right? So we kind of set up a kind of leaderboard.
Okay.
And so as you are putting out questions, depending on how many people answer, you get points and you get put on a leaderboard. Ooh. And so anybody who has a competitive element to them then engages that and forces persons to then engage with the material because they want to win. So you end up getting little champions to build your engagement and socialization. And then the other thing that we do is we have to encompass, it's a intergenerational portfolio.
Okay.
So we're reaching people who are using technologies in different ways. So you have to be aware of that and say, okay, you have people who can use your thumbs up and people who are just going, well, I recognize a smiley. That's my emoticon. That's what I'm going to use. I'm comfortable with that. And so I will always ask people, hey, can I get a reaction? I want to see how we're doing today. And you have to, if you're doing a hybrid training, you have to engage with your team members. It's more than telling them, turn your cameras on.
Which we all hate.
Everybody hates that.
Yes.
But everybody can quickly do a little thumbs up. Right? And so those are some of the things we use to engage with individuals who are not used to this kind of platform.
And you mentioned something a while ago that's very important that we often overlook. So sometimes people don't know how to do the thumbs up, but they might know how to do another emoji or something like that. So how can we create a space where people feel comfortable expressing themselves using the technology in a way that suits them? If you understand what I'm asking.
So whenever we start a session, we have to orient the persons that are coming onto the platform.
Okay.
So we do like a little 2-minute, hey guys, at the bottom of your screen, this is where you find this particular element. You also will pull up a chat and you'll show them, for instance, this is where you'll find your chat items as we're going along. And you have to tell them what's going to happen throughout it. It's 2 minutes. It's not going to take long. And people usually appreciate a kind of onboarding of this technology because we have to appreciate that not everybody, as you said, is used to it.
Right.
And so everybody has the same information. And so you have to respect that space. And not everybody's going to go as fast, but they will get there. And that's the point.
Yes. And what about those instances where you're not necessarily using like a Zoom to do like a live training session, but you're using like an LMS to do some type of course, like you're giving people courses in the LMS, and then you're using like a discussion forum or something like that to help them interact asynchronously. So they're not interacting at the same time. What about those spaces?
So in those cases, again, I go to my champions. So I will have spoken ahead to some of my team members to say, hey, in each of your spaces, I want you to have a question bank.
Okay.
And then you get to ask a question. And oftentimes, because those people are on the ground, they know the questions that people are going to ask and people are going to want to answer. And so even when I have asynchronous classes, I have those people go ahead of me.
Okay.
And so they build that kind of question bank and it engages them and usually engages everybody because the questions are coming from within themselves. So one of the things, especially with adult learners, is they have to get quickly what's in it for me. Or else they will just go, okay, it's a checkbox and I'm gonna go. But once they hear something that they can relate to,
right,
and that is a question that has always run into their mind, it's a different ball game.
Definitely. And there's something that came to my mind a while ago while you were speaking. How do you choose your champions, the champions that you mentioned?
So I am one of those old school managers. I practice walking management.
Okay.
So I walk all of my sites and I will touch base with all of my people. And you will have people who are always having questions. And you have to turn those people into information enablers.
Okay.
Right? And the best way to do that is to engage them. Hey, since this is something that you are interested in finding out about, are there other people who want to find out about it? And so because they are then championing the cause and they are then wanting to find out, they then find people who want to find out. And so you get that engaged and need already. And the why am I here answered from the get-go. Right. You understand? Another thing is I have management trainees in my portfolio, and those management trainees have been taught to lead and champion a cause. So in every department that they're in, they will say, hey, this training is coming up. I think this is important for us to get on board. So on twofold, I have peer-to-peer engagement and then leadership coming in to enable.
That sounds great. All right. So, Tamara, what are some of the other challenges associated with hybrid employee training, and how can teams overcome these challenges?
Don't read your PowerPoint.
I love how you don't write into that one.
Don't read your PowerPoint. So, PowerPoints are great, but they're a visual tool for us to use. And so I can read faster than you can speak. So So you have to find a way to engage with the material that's in your PowerPoint. So oftentimes I will tell people, put 1 or 2 words. That's it. And a visual. And then you talk. So storytelling is a great way to engage with persons because each of the stories is something that you can connect with. So here is a challenge. Here is a hero. Here is a victim. How are you going to make it happen? And you bring your team onto this, right? So one of the challenges we find with that is that everybody thinks, oh, well, just stick a PowerPoint and it'll be good. But people learn in different ways. So people learn visually. Some people learn by listening. Some people learn by touch. In my space, I have a lot of people who learn by touch. So how am I gonna engage with them?
Right.
So oftentimes I will say, hey, here's a quick exercise, guys. Get a piece of paper and fold a piece of paper and tell me what you're seeing on a piece of paper and write. And so I'm always getting them to touch things. And so I'm able to engage with them. And then that is it. You have to build in activities to overcome the challenges because you're not there face to face.
Right.
And sometimes you're not even on camera.
True.
Right? Another way that we get past some of the challenges is to do pre-homework.
Okay.
So I will, for instance, send out a link. And I'll say, hey guys, watch this video.
Okay.
And then we'll come in a session and then we'll spend probably 5 to 10 minutes talking about the video, what was happening in the video, did they watch the video? And that builds an excitement, engagement into whatever you're going to discuss.
Okay.
And oftentimes, because they've watched the video, they bring a different energy into the classes, so to speak.
And do you find that they always engage with this pre-homework?
No, it's not 100%. Let me just tell you, right? So again, I have to be careful of the videos that I pick.
Oh, okay.
To make sure that they like the videos or they're engaging with the material or it's something funny or it's something that's gonna really get them going, so to speak.
Okay.
And it's not 100%, like I said. You will always be somebody who's like, oh, I forgot. Okay, cool. But 10 chances to 1, by the end of the session, they're often, because of the things you've discussed, they're often the ones going, I really need to watch that video. Everybody's talking about it now and I missed out. You know, the fear of missing out? Yeah. Now I'm playing on this. Yeah. Cool. So, you know, the engagement, pre-engagement builds an excitement into your delivering. All the things that you can do are activities that they can do before. So it's kind of like a flipped classroom concept.
Okay.
Where you get your homework before you go to the class and then you're discussing what's happening in that based on that.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. So Tamara, my final question. What tips would you give to Caribbean organizations to help them make hybrid employee training as successful as possible?
Identify your audience.
Okay.
So ask people what they want to learn and then make it happen. So integrate different materials. Use more than PowerPoint. There are videos, there are quizzes that you can use now to engage individuals. And then research your LMS capabilities. There are LMSs that you have that can have games. Gamify your learning so that you can get into your competitive elements. Also make sure you have accessibility. There's nothing worse than you doing a hybrid training and they can't get it. So if you are doing that, make sure they have offline and online capabilities. So with the Sandals Corporate University, for instance, we have an app where you can download the material, train on it, and then it's offline. Okay. And then you connect back and you're able to progress along. So you're not using up your data, for instance, on this particular course. So accessibility, broadband capabilities, very important. Make sure you can, where you can, ensure your team members have access to it. We spoke about the tools that you can have. So the quizzes, gamifications, videos, any apps that you can use to make sure flipped classroom, get your employees engage from early. Tell them. There's nothing worse than them walking into a room and they don't know what they're walking into. It makes you that much struggle, that much harder.
Yeah.
But if you're giving them the excitement, hey, here's something that you can do that's on demand, that's on your own time, that will be able to enable you and give you knowledge, and make sure they know what they're going to get out of it. Because there's nothing worse than I'm coming into something and I don't know what I'm going to get.
All right.
So those are my final tips.
Okay. Awesome, Tamara. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. It was really insightful. Loved it.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me again.
And Tamara, if people want to reach out to you, possibly, do you offer consultancy services?
I don't at this moment in time. But if anybody wants to reach out to me, my contact is, you can find me on Instagram at TammyTez78.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Tammy as in TAMITEZ.
TAMYTEZ78.
Okay, got it. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.